Hello and welcome to the Reds Report. It's Carlo and Ian reporting for duty this evening. Ian, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I thought there's nothing like a bit of Metallica and thunder to get us going on this, bit of a stormy season, isn't it? So let's have a look. I wanted to just sort of take stock. I put a tweet out earlier this week and basically asked people that listen to our podcast, because there is those people regularly, to say, well, what do you want us to talk about? And the first one that came out, so let's start with that one, is the goalkeeper situation, where people saying it's ridiculous that we've got 3 contracted goalies, but we're on our second loan playing as a first choice. Like, is that a long-term strategy where you think the keepers we've got are just maybe not ready yet for League One? Or because it just don't make sense to me when we're talking about money and you know, everything is tight and we have to watch the pennies, but we've got 3 on contract and we're paying I don't know how much for a regular one on loan. What's your view?
I think it's a mess. Is the last time we had a permanent contracted goalkeeper, Brad Collins, possibly, or one of them?
Yeah, that regularly played, 100%.
Regularly played, yeah. I think it was really interesting at Huddersfield on Saturday when Goodman went down injured and Flavel was warming up for quite a while, and Goodman was down for a while, and I thought he's not going to get back up here. You know, when usually a player's down that long, and then he carried on, and then he Hurricane played, put Flavel out again to warm up again on the touchline, but never used him, and it kind of, I can't help but think, I liked Murphy Cooper. I didn't think he did a great deal wrong. The problem was the defence in front of him. We've swapped him for Goodman, who Hurricane says he wanted a big keeper with presence. Well, I'm sorry, but you bought the wrong goalkeeper there, because he flaps at everything that ever comes. He's awful. And somebody summed it up when I was at Bolton away the other week, and somebody summed it up and said, I wonder if Huddersfield's poor form was down to the fact that they were playing Goodman. And as soon as they got rid of Goodman, their form's picked up and they're in the playoffs. Quite possibly, because if you look at his performances, I don't know why Conor, they keep putting Jackson Smith out on loan, and he has a really good clean sheet ratio at Grimsby, but he doesn't get a sniff at, oh, well, you've got Flavel, who they've seen long enough now, because he's been at the club since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. You know, he's been there long enough, but he doesn't play him. And then they swap one keeper for Goodman, and he's just poor. So the whole situation's a mess, Carlo. But I just still think that even though you've got 3 goalkeepers, we're still playing the one who's playing the worst, who's letting us down week in, week out. So it's a mess. It really is a mess. I don't know how you unravel it.
No, I know, and I suppose, well, it's difficult, isn't it? And the goalkeeper links nicely into sort of like the next thing that people want to talk about, which we have to talk about, is the defensive woes of this team. Again this week, O'Connell has come out and said that, you know, we do more work on defence than like they did at Wrexham. But I'd like to think so, because we clearly need it, don't we? Yeah, and that's not a dig at everything. Because my question is, I know people say it's a defence. What is it about the defence? Are the players we've got not good enough for this league? Because I I don't know about that one. Is it the system, or haven't we got the right players for the right system? Because I just don't understand. The goalkeeper is so important for especially if there's a settled defence. And more often than not, Jack Shepherd's playing, O'Connell's playing, and then we've had variations of who sometimes joins. Sometimes those are the centre, and then they've got two out wide. What is it about the fact? Because he's 50 games in charge, he's conceded 100. Well, he's not, but the team has conceded 100 goals. Now, I'll come out of it and I'll defend to anyone. And I think that there's a team in the making if you can address those defensive rules. It's far more difficult to score goals than it, you know what I mean, than it is to keep clean sheets. I get that completely. It just feels that midfield and going forward and creating chances, we're doing all right. The problem is we're letting more in than what we're creating.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we're one of the top 3 top scorers in the league, something like that. And there's only I'm sure it was something like only Leighton Orient have shipped more goals than us in this league.
Yeah,
I stand corrected on that, but yeah, if you're having to score 2 to 3 goals a game to try and get anything out of a game, then you're struggling, aren't you? It's never going to work out well. I think personnel, I like O'Connell. I think he's quite steady. He's slotted in. I'd pick him most weeks. I don't mind him. Shepherd, I want him to do well, but he's always got a mistake in him every game. And I'd be inclined to drop him. That might be controversial to some people, but I thought second half at Bolton, De Givenet came on, steadied the ship, didn't do a right lot wrong, and never got a sniff at again. I thought, there was a few issues at Huddersfield in that second half that we let that game slip when we had it in our grasp, and it wasn't just defensively, but I've highlighted the goalkeeper, and he was at fault for certainly one of them. I don't think we've got a leader, Carlo. We've not got a leader in the team. We've got a captain in Luke O'Connell, but we don't have a leader in that team. You could argue your leaders that would have been Roberts or a few of the older heads might be that, but we don't seem to have a talker. We don't have anybody who's really commanding that back 3, back 4, back 5, whatever it is. I think we'll look better when Gent gets 100% fit, because his fitness isn't quite there. He was blowing. He had a difficult 60 minutes at Huddersfield, certainly first 30, 40 minutes against Huddersfield. But he'll look better. I don't think he's got the right combination, and we need to buy some more better quality at the back, don't we? Not somebody who's probably got 18 months of his career left and his legs have gone, or okay, Shepherd's a younger lad, but he's making mistakes quite regularly. He's got to. I don't know how you work that out. It's a bit of a conundrum. I still think you could find a better combination of defenders and stick with them. But it's been our Achilles heel all season, hasn't it? And that's it for 50 games. That's consistent stats, that, isn't it? It's not over a couple of games. 100 goals. That speaks volumes that we've tried and tested, and we've still not got it right. So maybe it is recruitment in defence. We need 1 or 2 better quality defenders in the place.
And it's weird, isn't it? What he's got available at the moment, is it what would you preferred with the personnel we've got? Would you look at 4 at the back with 2 central defenders, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 4 down the midfield, and would you go 2 up front, or would you go 3 and then 5 in midfield to try and overload? I mean, because with the players we've got, I'm a bit like you. I like Shepherd, and I think there's such a player in there. But it feels, and I might be completely wrong, because all we're going is with what we see. It feels like he's going to be easy, because he's almost like the first name on the team sheet. That the keeper has got his shirt on, and I just think he's a lad that we bought. He went out to Bradford, did incredibly well. He didn't walk into the team; he had to earn his spot in the team. Fair enough. I don't know if the injuries to Roberts, if maybe but it just feels that he could do with maybe 1 or 2 games out when fit, put Robertson or O'Connell next to each other. I know they're not the fastest, but then if you make it a 4, you've got people covering.
Yeah.
People can cover because, or would you go 3? What? Because
yeah, Conor likes to play with 2 wingers, and I like that. I like Banks. I like the look of Banks. He's direct. Cleary on the other side. When he's up for it, he's brilliant, and when he's not, like he wasn't at Bolton, he can frustrate you. But we have direct players, and I'd like to see the fullbacks bombing on as well and supporting the wingers, rather than just pumping a long diagonal ball into the wings. I'd like to see when Gent gets fully fit, pushing up and helping on one wing. Like O'Keefe does a little bit on the other side. He likes to go forward, doesn't he? So I'd like to see the fullbacks push up and double up with the wingers, because I think that's our strength. And Conor wants to play. He said all along his tenure he wants to play with wingers. He wants to play with that. So I think maybe the 4, or do you go 3 centre halves and push O'Keefe and Gent up? And it's a 5 when you've not got the ball, a bit like what probably Duff used to do. 5 when you've not got the ball. And Nicky Cadden was on one wing, and he'd push up, and he was right up the other end of the pitch. So maybe that kind of model. But I think we look better with a 4. I think we look better with a 4 than a 3. So yeah, it's considering with one of the coaches is an ex-defender, we're not doing very well at teaching these lads how to defend, are we?
No, and this is the thing when I sort of look at the coaches that we've got and the personnel. In fairness, I just think where does the problem lie? Is it a mindset sort of thing? Because I just feel that we are capable of. If we were sat here and we're saying, well, our players are clearly not good enough. I remember years and years and years and years ago, and was it Tom Kennedy at the back? All he ever did was play it to O'Grady at the front. And when O'Grady left, he was still playing the same balls and there was no player there. And you knew at that point, things weren't right. I just think we are capable of so much better, because when we go forward at times or in spells, you think like, decent team, this.
And that's the problem, Carlo, because Conor says he does sometimes games are too open and he likes to control them. So you look at Bolton away, we were diabolical for the first half. Second half, we battered them and we played some great stuff. And to a man, we attacked as a team and we were fearless. First half at Huddersfield, we went for them. We started the game really strongly. To a man, they were up for it. They were chasing everything. They were going for it. And then second half, they switch off and they go deeper and deeper, and then just resort to lazy long balls or something. And they can't kind of keep that concentrate, that level for 90 minutes. Yeah. And they're switching off. And you're not going to win a football game if you just turn it on for 45. So he's got a mindset issue. I don't think it's a fitness issue, but I think it's more of a mindset where in games, they can just drift. And instead of being like, they'll start a game really well, and then the last 10, 15 minutes up to half time, they'll let a team back in. Yeah. And they'll go in at half time, drawing or something like that. And they just have moments in games where they can be really good, play some nice stuff, and then just switch off. So, I mean, how does he... Because it's collectively as well, pretty much. Collectively, they are all just switching off at the same time. Now, is that a leadership issue on the pitch? What is it? I don't know. But he's got to try and resolve that over the next few months and in the close season.
One of the things that we were really worried about, and we haven't had a chance to talk about, is obviously with DKD leaving in January. We've not been short of goals, have we? We've scored. I mean, you've got. Whenever you listen to commentary, people mention his age, but let's forget about that. As a professional, and as he's clearly not the number 9, but as that number 9, that forward for Barnsley, that striker for Barnsley, McGoldrick is shown that he's probably one of the better paid, and you'd expect him almost to be the leader, wouldn't you? Because he's been there, he's done that, and wherever he's been, he's performed. And he's done it. He's doing that for us at the moment. And without being horrible, at times it feels like he's the only one that's pedaling and keeping going forward. DKD, by the way, 5 matches at Wrexham's, played a grand total, I think, I saw today. One of them was an FA Cup, but a grand total of 18 minutes. in the last 5 games. But,
Yeah.
but we've not talked about it. We're saying, so many times and we missed him, because there's been a positive on the pitch, and that's David McGoldrick.
Yeah, absolutely. He was absolutely immense in that game at Huddersfield. And I don't mean just like the runs he made. They were scared stiff of him. He was doing sliding tackles in his own box. He was defending. He was in the middle. He was up front. He was absolutely everywhere. And I know Conor's got to kind of manage him because of his age, but I really, really could not work out for the life of me why he took him off at Huddersfield and brought Bradshaw on, because Huddersfield were scared stiff of McGoldrick because of the runs he was making. He was running at them. He was shooting from different positions. They didn't know what was happening. And then Bradshaw, I think he had a total of 4 touches, and I think 3 come right near injury time. One of them was a shot that he had blocked. And we just didn't play to his strengths. He was trying to make the moves where he arcing his move to avoid getting caught offside, but nobody's pinging the balls. Whereas with McGoldrick, we know where he is, and they're almost instinctively, he's on a run, and he's on his heels and he's gone. So you ping that ball to him. When Bradshaw come on, we lost that threat. I'd have played both of them because we didn't have a midweek match. Didn't have to rest him. He had a week off now before Leyton Orient, but he's really stepped up with the goals. Contribution. I just think if we had another 10 of him, we'd be absolutely fine, for effort and application.
How would you? I mean, we talked about defence. How would you look at Horahane's reign so far? Because we know on the pitch where the shortcomings are. Now, is that coaching? Is that recruitment? Is that money? We don't know. He seems to have. You can't even. If you say 60% right, midfield, there's the right personnel. If you look at players like Kelly, when you players like Banks up front, yes, we're light as in numbers, not the people we've got. I'd like to think that Bradshaw finds his mojo, gets match sharpness rather than fitness. McGoldrick, long it may continue, it's just a defence. How would you look back? Because let's face it, and I'm a Horahan fan, and I'll defend it to anybody. Managers have left earlier than the number of games that he's had when we've been in better positions, you could say. Is it fair to say that they're treating it like a long-term project on and maybe off the pitch as well, but definitely on the pitch with the players and the coaches, giving them a bit more time and trying to build for the future?
It does seem that way. Like you say, Collins when it was going pear-shaped, and yet we were in the playoffs as an example. I do think he would, any normal year, he would have probably gone by now or been ready for the axe. But I think, Nirav did say at the last fan engagement that it was here for the long run. He was absolutely starting next season as the coach. So it does feel that way. I don't think he's lost the fan base. I know you can read what you like on social media, but at the grounds, despite the results, they've not been, the fans haven't turned on him at all. What I would say is he's open to criticism, and I don't think his substitutes worked on Saturday. I don't think he made probably the right call. I'd have pushed Bradshaw on with McGoldrick, and gone for it. We could all say certain things. There are times when sometimes his subs probably don't make the right impact, but I'm always one for tending to trying to give people time, and he's had one transfer window, well, January as well, I suppose. And he's been, let's face it, we were messaging on WhatsApp, weren't we, in the week, and the talent drain out of this club over the last 5-6 years is phenomenal. You say DKD can't get in that Wrexham team. It's Kiefer Moore's playing out of his skin. I mean, we used to have Kiefer Moore, a younger Kiefer Moore. You think about. You look at some of the lineups over the last years and the talent drain. And I looked at the bench on Saturday, and he didn't have a right lot. Jorgen Nathan's not going to come off and boss a game, is he? He's a young lad. He's now to him. Jallo's out on loan, sometimes playing, sometimes he was on the bench on Saturday for Oldham. So he's not like ripping up any trees, out on loan. He's not got a lot. And I do think he's been dealt a really bad card by this board, because all we're going to see now in the future is free signings and loans. And anybody half decent that we can get a transfer fee for, they're going to flog like they did with DKD. I mean, that's a classic that. They wanted an extra striker in January. They sell the most prolific striker for the last 2 seasons and bring in an old head on loan, you know. So I feel for him, but ultimately he knows where the deficiencies are in this squad, and he's only got this squad to work with.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to start turning around the shipping of the goals. They're going to have to start getting some clean sheets, because ultimately that's what he'll be judged on, won't it, his results. So I have a lot of sympathy for him. I think it's still work in progress. He's still got the players on his side. I don't think they've down tools or lost faith in him or anything like that, some previous managers. So yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? You know, I'd stick with him. I'd give him another summer transfer window for what the board might do, and see and give him next season, because it's only right, isn't it? You can't keep chopping and changing every 5 minutes. It's not going to get us anywhere, is it?
No, and I think what's lacking a little bit is, you know, what is happening in the boardroom. Because by now you would have expected probably somebody in that club to come out to accept an interview with BBC Radio Sheffield. I mentioned them because they are the independent broadcaster for this area, and they are at every home and away match. And to say, you know, what do you think of the transfer window? I know because it's still ringing in my ears when they say, you know, money from sales will be reinvested in the squad, but then I fail to see where the millions for these players that have left us, where that's gone, where the Anderson's money's gone. Kitchen, you know, there's so many of them, like you said. I mean, Barnsley are in 15th, still got at least 2 games in hands in all those above us, but 4 on some. I suppose if he finishes 10th or thereabouts, he'll have had a half decent season, I suppose, with the cards that he's been dealt, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Like what aspirations? I know he's a very aspirational, and he'll not, you know, discard the playoffs as such for now. But realistically, if Barnsley can finish, you know, round about 10th, 11th, he'll have done decent, hasn't he, with the cards that he's been dealt?
Probably, yeah, to be honest. I think Saturday's game, quite a lot of people were saying the feeling was if we'd have gone to Huddersfield and won, then we'd have been looking up and we'd have been thinking games in hand, we've got a chance. I think you messaged it as well, Carlo, that playoffs are on here. There's a chance here. And the defeat just kind of went, well, that's mid-table then this season. You know, it was a real, it felt a bit defining, to be honest. We might have a couple of false dawns between now and the end of the season, but you're coming into March nearly. And so, yeah, I think if you can be top 10, I mean, you look next season. I mean, we're not the League One powerhouse that we thought we were, where you come down from the Championship and you were pretty much thinking, if it's not automatic, we're going to be well up in the playoffs and we're probably going to go up. As it has happened under Stendhal in recent years. It nearly happened with Duff. But now we're just not that powerhouse that we thought we had, whether it's financial clout or anything. So I think if he gets 10th, that'll be a good result. Given what he's been through in his first full season as in the job. You know, he's never done it anywhere else. This is his first year. You've got to remember that as well. And he's going to make mistakes. He'll admit that himself. But I think if it's like 15th, 16th, then it leaves a bit of a sour taste, doesn't it, really? But if it's top 10, it just puts a little bit of a shine on, polishes that turd slightly, doesn't it, Carlo?
I mean, Leyton Orient on Saturday, early kickoff. I mean, you actually said it earlier, you're right. The only side that have let more goals in than us, which is, you know, for us has to be a positive. We haven't had a midweek match, which again, you know, has to be a positive. When people say, you can train extra, we've had all month to train on defending. So I think, you know, if we haven't tried something yet, then let's just leave it till next season, because, you know, we're in February now, and we're coming towards the end of February, to be fair. How do you see... if you look up front, you mentioned it earlier. You've got McGoldrick, you've got Bradshaw. Now, I thought watching the first half at Huddersfield, going a little bit more direct, I thought gave us the opportunity to put pressure on. Actually, rather than putting pressure on ourselves and trying to work the ball out from the back, going a little bit more direct, I thought worked in our favour because I thought we actually played to our strengths a little bit.
Yeah, because we've got players who can stretch teams and we can use that width with Banks and Cleary on one side and McGoldrick in the middle, who's prepared to run all over the place. Then you play that out ball into space, and suddenly you make sure that your defender's one-on-one with your attacker. Then I think it works. It absolutely works to our advantage. Don't be doing. We can't play this tippy-tappy Barcelona type football, playing out from the back. It just gets us into trouble, And you look in the modern game now, even in the Premier League, there's more long ball football than ever. So it's not something to be particularly scorned upon. I just think you've got to play to your strengths, and we have wide men and players up in that final third who will hug a touchline and who can run at people and make things happen. I mean, we created corner after corner after corner on Saturday by doing that. And I think more the merrier. Yeah, because you've got people like Conor who can stick it on a sixpence if they want.
Yeah.
So definitely play more to that, more to our strengths where we've got forwards who can stretch the opponent.
What would you do for striker wise? Who would you look at? And would you go with both? Would you start off with both? Because obviously he started with just McGoldrick away at Huddersfield and then replaced him. I just think, why? And listen, I'm not a football manager. I wasn't even a footballer. But my reckoning would be you start with two and really go at it and try and build some advantage up. If you need to take one of them off, you can just change formation, can't you? You can go, 4-5-1 or whatever if needed. You know what I mean? We don't always have to have. So to me, we need to give the defenders something to think about, because at times it feels like Cleary's almost double marked. But if you then got two strikes as well, you're forcing them to come back, aren't you? You're immediately pushing them in their own final third.
I mean, he's obviously going to lose a midfielder, and I mean, Phillips as I think Banks and Cleary are clearly the threats. I don't think Phillips. I know on his day could be, but I don't think he kind of just goes through the motion. He's not as dynamic as he used to be, where he could score those goals and stuff. He's not as impactful as this season. He hasn't been as impactful as he has in other seasons. So he'd be one to bring off the bench for me and start with Bradshaw and McGoldrick and start, because we know we need to score 3 and 4 goals a game. So put your strikers on, and if they can score, then it brings confidence. And then you can always, if one's tiring, keep one up top, bring an extra midfielder on like a Phillips, and go from there, can't you? I'd just, what have you got to lose? Go for it and play 2 strikers. Go for it.
Well, against a team that I can't say league goals because we do as well, but we have the advantage that we can score them as well. I mean, it's rarely a 0-0 when Barnsley are playing, and both teams to score. I'm sure it's doing a lot of people a lot of good so far this season. We talked about something at the end. We're coming to that crucial stage now where it's going to be mapped out what we should be concentrating on, isn't it? And I think it's fair to say, listen, these games in hand will continue until April, so we can't. We've played a couple. We've got a run of 2 games at home, I believe, next week, Tuesday and Saturday again. Starting with Leyton Orient. At no point is any match more crucial than the other. But it does feel that after the sort of, the letdown, I suppose we had after a really good start at Huddersfield, this one is different because they are below us. They're leaking goals. Mentally, if you can't go away there, if you can't come from there with 3 points, it makes it harder for yourself, doesn't it, almost as a player? Because you think, well, these are shipping goals in, and if we can't win these, because we're only sort of like a third into the season. How would you sum it up so far? If it was a school report, where would you even start? I mean, Conor we spoke about, but as a team, it's not been good enough, has it? Because I feel we have been played off the pitch at times, but most of the away goals have been mistakes by ourselves or momentary lapses of concentration.
And some of the goals we've conceded are comical as well. They're so avoidable. That's been the biggest markdown. Has been some of the goals that we've conceded. School report. I think the board have got a lot of questions to answer. Nirav is not a pauper. He has got a lot of money behind him. He just chooses not to put a bit more into the football club, and unfortunately, this squad is looking more and more like a bang average or lower level League One, maybe top League Two. The way it's going. So I have sympathy for Hurricane, but at some point, enough's enough with this comical defending, and he's going to have either drop people or do something different, because you can't keep playing the same players who are making the same mistakes, can you? And that includes a goalkeeper. How long is it before you have to take him out of the limelight? Because if he drops a clanger on Saturday, you can't keep doing that, can you?
No.
So there's a lot of work to be done. There's positives. We're scoring goals. We've got some players who can make things happen. But the sad thing for me is, I like Banks. He's potentially playing for a contract. We'll offer him bloody peanuts, and he'll go elsewhere. He'll pay him more money. Somebody will come in for Cleary, and we'll sell him off, make a bit of money, and before you know it, we'll replace them with loans and free agents who are not good enough, and we'll end up staring at League Two if we're not careful. That's the bigger picture that's wrong at the minute. But Hurricane, I'd keep him, but he's got to sort this defence out one way or another. However he does it, I don't know, but he needs a magic wand to sort this defence out, because scoring the goals isn't the problem, is it? If we can just reduce the goals conceded by 50%, we'll pick up the damn sight more points. So it's not, it's not major surgery that's needed.
No, it's not. It's a bit of cosmetic here and there, isn't it? Not for us, of course, but for those on the page. And mate, I fully agree. And I just think, when they say about reinvesting, if you lose a key player, then that money needs to be invested in that window, because otherwise, what happens is you create a gap. You don't fill that gap, because the gap that DKD leaves behind cannot be filled by anybody. But if you spend some money and get somebody that can, up and running, and next year might get you a similar ratio as what DKD did. So I never expected, to bring Kiefer Moore in or another prolific striker, or could be. But keeping the money in the bank and then waiting for the summer when others are going to go, because they see it's a bit of a, I don't want to say a rudderless ship, because clearly we have, we have a head coach, a young, ambitious head coach. But it just feel if he's not being backed, it's not attractive, is it, for players to say, "Oh, I'll come and play for Barnsley." It's not, is it? So, no. Score prediction and first goal scorer then for Saturday. It's an early kickoff, Leyton Orient. We're going to absolutely trounce these, innit? I mean, I can hear Steve now saying something like 6-0 and Devante Cole or something, but what do we think?
It's either going to be 6-5 or 0-0.
No, be 0-0. We can't keep a clean sheet.
I'll go 3-1 Reds. I'll go 3-1 Reds. If they play anything like they can play, then absolutely 3-1.
Yeah. Who's first goal scorer?
McGoldrick.
Yeah. I love my glasses always are full, and I was a little bit when he first signed, because obviously DKD was doing well, he didn't get much chance, but he's going
to need replacing. He's not going to live for it. He's not Peter Pan, is he? No. So not only are they going to have to replace DKD, they're going to have to replace McGoldrick. Bradshaw might go away on loan. Who's up front then? Jallow and is that it? Next season.
Ian, let's see what the away game brings. We've got a couple of matches next week, so we'll record again the week after. And let's hope we can say, wow, 9 points in 3 matches. I mean, that's what we're hoping for, because you have to set the bar high, haven't you? But we'll take 7, won't we? I'm sure we will. Ian, thanks very much. Look after yourself, and we'll speak soon. You've been listening to the Reds Report. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening.
You Reds.